How important is it to tell a story with your data?
I'd say on a long enough timeline, it's the only thing you can do with data. It's
Yeah.
the whole point, right? If you don't tell a story from it, then you're just collecting. It's more hoarding. So
Hmm.
I'm very anti-data hoarding. I think that usually you want just enough information to make the decision and to tell a story. I also think that story is sort of a weird term when you think about it. Like it's very anti-macho, very anti-masculine to say I'm going to tell a story. It's not very tangible, the feeling. Yet ultimately, data is the story of how somebody came to your site, right? So the
Hmm.
individual data it's the story of their relationship with you. And
Hmm.
so I think that ultimately data is a story. Can't really separate them. It's more of how you use that as a way to get more of it. And so if you're collecting data on somebody's click stream through your site and they view 7 pages of your site, they add it to the cart, then they remove it, and then they cancel it. And you on a long enough timeline, you can start to piece together. There's issues with my website. There's issues with our copy because we mentioned a discount code, but we don't actually give them the ability to find one. So they're opening up another tab, typing in how do I find discounts, right? There's all these things that you can piece together, and data actually gives you confidence that is, it helps you quantify how often that happens, right? And so I think that data is a story. I don't
Yeah.
think you can really separate them, but I think it's weird to say like you should tell a story with your data. I can't wait. Like I probably won't rest until the point that's just intuitive that data is the story.
To that point, everyone's an individual, so everyone's story is probably different. But there's
Yeah.
probably like I don't know, a communal story, or at least a snapshot you can gauge and make decisions.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
that's the thing for me is like I always tell my internal team that if we get a comment from somebody that says like, "Hey, I don't think this promotion is good," or "I don't like the price of this thing," or "Hey, does this thing have updates?" When the people ask questions about your product, one of those people is the equivalent of 10 to 100 times that many people think that way. And so
mhm.
sometimes you extrapolate from the story you do have, the qualitative stuff, and then you make it quantitative.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do just need to look at, okay, well, how many people went to that page and how many people bought? That's a story as well. So you can do it both ways. You can use an individual one to extrapolate up, or you can extrapolate down from an aggregate of people.
And this is where it starts getting maybe a little bit philosophical to your earlier point, where you could pick one from a sample set and go completely the wrong way and make bad decisions. Or, it might be a good representative of a whole cohort.
Yeah, I mean, common sense is a pretty big piece of this, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, a lot of people who are very good at data science, they lack the common sense to really put that together and to tell
Mm.
that story as a real one. Is it feasible or not? And so that's usually, honestly, like almost every time that somebody comes at me with a really technical question or a really obscure thing, I apply a common sense filter and it stops them in their tracks because the
Yeah.
reality is this real for real people? This is humans.
Yeah, that's so true.